Do you have launch phobia? Are you afraid to launch your offers in your business? I feel you and I hear you on this. So many entrepreneurs are afraid to launch what they have to offer for fear that they won't get any sales, for fear that they're going to be exhausted, for fear that it's going to be hard, for fear that they're going to be rejected, all of the things, judged, all of the things. That's what we're diving into here today. I'm going to break down something for you in your business that you probably don't want to hear. And that is that if you have offers of any kind at all, launching is necessary. It's not something you really have the option to do or not to do. And this comes out of a client conversation, a potential client conversation that I had this week. She wanted to step into my mastermind and she said, but Vickie, I'm so afraid you're going to make me launch. Now, first, I don't make anyone do anything. If I had those powers, I'd probably start with my husband and making him do things rather than my clients. But I don't make people do anything. When you're working with me, it really is an exercise in looking into your human design to see how you're meant to do the things you're here to do. Your human design isn't going to tell you what you're here to do. It's going to tell you how you do that, how you follow your own path of least resistance, how you use the energy that you have, how you might consider launching. Doesn't mean that in your human design, I'm going to say, oh, you should do a challenge launch. Oh, you should do an email launch. Oh, you're built for workshops. That's not how it works, but we can see how your energy is designed to flow. We can look into it, and especially for your circuitry, and see, are you best in groups? Are you best one-on-one? Do you love to do discovery calls? Are you good at sales calls? Would you be better in a group situation? All of that stuff we can kind of unpack with your life experience, okay? Because you've lived a lot of life. So you can take all of this and decide how you're going to launch, but launch you must. So in my conversation with her, the first thing I asked was, and I'm going to ask you to write down these questions and start to noodle on them a little bit in your own business. What does a launch mean to you? And she's like, well, when I think of a launch, I think of, a challenge or a boot camp, something like that, where I've got to be rah, 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 and on for so long. And I can't have any time off. And I have 2 little kids and I have a full-time job. And if I'm launching, I've got to be so in it for that little bit of time. And then what if nobody buys? Isn't that the thing that we're all afraid of? What if nobody buys? So first things first, let's look at launching differently. There are many kinds of launches that you could have. So maybe start to think about that. Look at the online space and see how many different kinds of launches have you seen happen with people that you follow. I bet you've seen more than one way to launch, right? So I'll unpack a couple of them, and maybe we'll do 3 here today in this session. And then you can kind of take from that and see if something fits for you. The thing about launching is that it's going to create scarcity for your offer, and you need to have scarcity for your offer in order for it to actually sell. Now, you can do this in a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be a challenge or a boot camp or something like that, but there does need to be some sort of scarcity. So for this particular client, I said to her, well, what would it feel like to you if you were, because she wants to have evergreen on her site. So if you have fallen into that pattern of thinking where I can just put my offer, my course, my program, my report, my whatever it is, I can just put that on my website and people will flock to my website and they will buy that. I would ask you, how's that working for you so far? Because that's not how business works, right? We can't just put things up on our website and then never talk about them. And inside of you, you know that, and inside of her, she knew that when I was asking the question. She's kind of laughing like, oh yeah, it's not actually working right now. So I said to her, rather than thinking of it as an evergreen thing that just sits there and you don't really talk about it, why don't we build out an evergreen funnel? Why don't we build out something where we build scarcity in? There are tools that you can use to add countdown timers into your emails. So maybe hers looks something like someone downloads a lead magnet and they go through a very targeted email sequence into this evergreen offer that she has. And there is a coupon to buy it at 25% off or whatever that is throughout this funnel, so that's how she sells it. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's a launch? Could be a launch if that's what fits her life. But it's so much better than just having it sit on her website. Maybe you're someone who really loves to do workshops or webinars. You could develop a system where every month, you deliver the same webinar or the same workshop over and over and over again. And then you invite people in to whatever your program or course is, even if it's evergreen. And again, you give them a coupon or you give them a bonus. Maybe it's another call with you. Maybe it's maybe you do breath work and it's a breath work session. Maybe you do human design and it's a human design reading, but you give them something with a limited amount of time. Because human beings are designed to take action when there's a deadline. We will procrastinate and procrastinate and procrastinate. And you know how it is if you're working with clients, they're busy. They have other things in their lives. They have kids, they have jobs, they have all of the things going on, and they probably aren't thinking about your offer 24/7 like you're thinking about your offer 24/7. Just a quick little commercial break here for you. I am getting ready to present a 3-day free masterclass series. And this is for you if you are not making enough money in your business. Maybe you're putting offers out there, but they're just not landing like they should. You feel like you're never having that launch that you think you should have. You hear everybody talking about these huge launches and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Well, if that's happening to you, then there are 2 things that could possibly be wrong in your business. Number 1 is that there's something wrong with your offer. Something is not converting with your audience. They hear you talk about your offer and they're like, yeah, I don't know if I need that or not. And we're going to fix that in this masterclass series. The second thing is that your message is not clear. You are not getting really clear on what you're here to say, how you need to say it, and who you're actually speaking to so that you can land more paying clients with ease. And I'm going to show you how to leverage your human design so that you can do exactly that. It's a free 3 days with me, where each class is probably about an hour and a half long. There'll be lots of opportunity for hot seat coaching. We are going to come in and we are going to fix what's going wrong in your business so that you can make the money that you're here to make and have the impact you're here to have. So when you put scarcity there, when you give them a deadline to purchase with a discount or a bonus with you, then it moves them a little bit further. And then, of course, we have live launching. Live launching is not for the faint of heart. If you are thinking, oh my gosh, it looks like a lot of work. Oh my gosh, it is a lot of work to live launch. And it can be so worth it if that's how your energy works. I love me a live launch. Doesn't mean I don't get tired. Doesn't mean about halfway through I don't think, what the heck am I doing? Because every single launch I do that. And I'm going to tell you something else about a live launch. There's a lot of personal growth wrapped up in a live launch because every single time you launch your offer live, something is going to come up for you to work through. I guarantee it. So you want to have someone there, holding you accountable, someone there who's got your back, someone who you can talk to and say, this is coming up for me. I'm a big fan of journaling. Even if I was going to say all you're doing, I think journaling is powerful, but even if what you're doing is journaling through the process, watch for those lessons because they will come up in a live launch because you're going to get triggered. You're going to be judged. You're going to be rejected. More people are going to reject you than who buy your offer. And it's going to take some level of tenacity for you to be able to handle that and realize that it's not about you. So live launching, there are all kinds of live launches you could do. You could do challenges. You could do a 3-part workshop series. That's how I've been launching my offer the last few times. What else could you do? I'm drawing a blank, but you've seen all kinds of live launches. That's I think the thing that as entrepreneurs we think of and we go, I don't want to launch. I don't want to do that because it's so much putting yourself out there. And I'm going to tell you that if you decide to do that type of launch, preparation is going to be your best friend. You don't walk into a launch like that without your emails written, without your social media curated to a degree. Now, I'm a manifesting generator, so I'm never going to create all of my stuff ahead of time. I have learned the hard way that I won't use all of the stuff that I create when I do it ahead of time. I need to be in response. I need to have the freedom to pivot in my launch and to respond to things that are happening for my people. And I'm going to give you an example that came up in Content by Design the last round. We had a beautiful projector in there, 3.5 projectors, 3.5 splenic projector. And she was in the middle of a launch and she wanted it to be her biggest launch ever. And she had Facebook ads going to it and all of the things. And she hit a wall where she was like, I'm generating in my business. I'm not actually recognizing myself. I'm not rested. I'm not calling in my people. And partway through, as we're in Content by Design together, she's like, her message had been just a little bit off still, just a little bit off. And as we just kept working on, all of a sudden we're looking at all of her metrics and we're like, I think the thing that you actually talk about is different than the thing you've been talking about, because I don't think your people identify with the term that you're using. I don't think they know you're talking to them. So let's rework this. And she reworked that and made a few sales. So messaging is going to be really, really important in your launch. That's not what I was going to talk about, though. I was going to talk about being able to pivot, being able to follow your human design as you go along. I believe that when you're launching, no matter what kind of launch you're doing, but especially a live launch, you want to be able to bring the live bits of you into the launch. It's really important for people to see you. They need to feel your energy, no matter what your energy type. They need to feel you with them in a live launch so that they can imagine what it would be like to work with you, so that they can see you in action. My friend calls this dramatic demonstrations. Speaking of dramatic demonstrations and speaking of that friend, she's doing a launch right now. She has launch trauma, she says, from a launch a couple of years ago. So what she has decided to do is send out a series of 4 or 5 emails. She just set a date. I'm going to deliver my program this date, and all I'm going to do is send out emails to my list. She also has sponsored other people's email lists. So she's in their world already, and she has chosen to do sponsorships of their email list so that they'll talk about her program to their email list. So this is not a great expression, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And there's definitely more than one way to launch. But please, for the love of God, launch. You are going to be launching something in your business if you are an online entrepreneur. You don't have to do it the hairy, scary way. You don't have to do it live, but you do have to create scarcity for your audience. And you do have to get super duper clear on who you're speaking to and what it is you need them to hear from you. The transformation. What are you promising? What is the result? Sidebar here. But today I happened to be looking at, I somehow overnight got a few new followers on Instagram, and I was looking at their bios and I'm like, sweet Jesus, these say nothing. These say nothing. So promise people the result. Show people the transformation, whether it's on your bio, whether it's in your launch, whether it's in your reels, whatever it is. People need to know what problem you're actually solving and what you're going to actually do for them. And then they're going to be more inclined to buy your offer when you do launch it. And you are going to launch it, right?